Meeting at the Village Board on Monday, September 21st at 7 p.m. in the Germantown Village Hall Boardroom. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Sections 19.83 and 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows all Village Board members present except for Trustee Myers, who I know is here, but may be joining us shortly. So at this time, I'll ask us all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is President's Report. Just a couple things to report tonight. Last Wednesday on September 16th, I had the fortunate experience to attend the dedication and ribbon cutting for the Mule Fest Hall or Family Fest Hall at Dinesville Park. It was one of the first times that I've seen it complete. It was very impressive. Very nice program that was put on by the director of Park and Rec, Mark. Thank you. It was a nice job. Enjoyed it very much. A lot of people turned out there, and it really gave us a good opportunity to see it in its pristine state. This weekend, it will be one of the first events that will be held there, which would be the Germantown Historical Society Oktoberfest celebration starting on Saturday, September 26th, and that's going to be going from noon to 11 p.m., and then also on Sunday, September 27th from noon to 7, and that again is at Dinesville Park at the new Fest Hall that's there. So if you get a chance, please go. Take a look at one of our newest buildings in our parks and enjoy the Oktoberfest celebration. You can get scheduled events online at the Germantown Historical Society website. They've got the schedule there as to all the different bands that'll be there and the different events that happen during the week. That's all I have to report. So we can go on to announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee and department reports, and we'll start with committee chairs with Trustee Zabel.
General Government met earlier tonight, and we will meet again on October 19th at 6 p.m. in the...
Okay, thank you. Trustee Miller.
I don't have when the next public safety meeting is. You know when it is?
I thought it was October 5th. That's the first Friday in October?
First Monday.
Or first Monday, excuse me, first Monday in October.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize.
Yeah, Friday. I didn't put that in my calendar.
Sorry.
Trustee Kaminsky.
Public Works will meet in this room on October 6th, which is a Tuesday, at 6 p.m.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to state at this time for announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee or department reports? Village Administrator.
If I could, I just wanted to mention that one of our DPW superintendents, Paul Haugen, in the Waterworks utility, was given an award last week from the American Waterworks Association as a Operator Meritorious Award. And it's an award given because of his demonstration of expertise in water utility maintenance and work, and his high level of professionalism in that role. And I think it's just something that it's important to announce to the residents and the community that we have that level of expertise when they turn on the tap and fill up a glass of water, that there's somebody on the other end who's making sure that it's safe and high quality.
All right, congratulations.
I have a report.
All right, voted to the village clerk.
I have an election update. There will be an election on November 3rd. Just last week on Wednesday afternoon, we received the absentee ballots to be mailed out to those that have a request on file. So those were received on Wednesday afternoon. There were 4,240 requests, and they were mailed out by Thursday morning. There were election officials here that worked diligently that day and that evening to make sure that we got those mailed out on time. They did amazing work, and the post office is getting those out to the requesters, so very appreciative of everyone's hard work. And right now, the Village of Germantown has just over 14,000 registered voters. So with those ballots, considering the number that's been mailed out, that is 30% of our, yes.
Is there any truth to the fact that they're being tracked?
So that is correct. On the absentee ballot envelopes, there is a tracking IMB on those envelopes that if the post office tracks those correctly, a person could go into My Vote and see detail of their ballot of approximately when it will be delivered and the status of that ballot when we receive it as well. So you are correct, and that is at myvote.wy.gov, and then the voter would enter in their information to see that detail. So you are correct. And I was just hearing and reading a little bit here before the meeting that there was a change as to when those have to be back. They have to be postmarked by November 3rd now. More to come on that. But, I'm sorry?
That they had to be in hand by the day of the election.
No, they're just this afternoon, the federal district court issued a ruling that changed all of that. Now, he has stayed his ruling, so that actually, Madam Clerk, does not go into effect yet. It was stayed for a week, anticipating that there will likely be an appeal that will go then to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals and maybe then to the Supreme Court. And each one of those bodies, as it moves up, could elect to stay that or extend that stay. So right now, there isn't any change. It needs to be in hand by the close of Election Day. But as the clerk says, more to come.
Stay tuned, right? So, but we all know there's an election on November.
Federal election versus the state election?
I assume so. I did not read the decision yet. I just saw the reporting on what took place, so.
Yeah, but I would think that the state would have one thing, but that's the other question. I mean, yes, have the jurisdictions at state to federal, and which one has control over their elections. All this fun stuff in the last.
So what we do know is there will be an election on November 3rd, and we are preparing for that and following up on those requests as they come in. And in-person absentee voting will begin here at Village Hall on October 20th. That schedule is on the village website under the news flash. So we are intending to have Saturdays open and available for voters, so.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee or department reports? If not, we can go on to the next item, which is citizen input and public appearance on items not subject to a public hearing. There's no public hearing on tonight's agenda. Before we open it up to those that wish to come forward for citizen input or public appearance, whether via WebEx or within the audience, I do have two emails that we had received. I believe both were received today on Monday, September 21st. The first one reads, "Good afternoon. Please discuss these items at tonight's meeting. The school district is having their annual meeting at the same night as the 2050 plan meeting. Please move one of these meetings. As you know, Germantown citizens are interested in giving input to the 2050 plan, as well as what the school district is going to be doing. This is imperative." Second item on the email is, "What is the status of the builder's agreement with Veridian? I cannot find it anywhere online. Please provide us with an update." And then the third point was children are still playing on the dirt piles where the construction is occurring. What can be done about this? And it's thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Denton on Crabtree Lane. The second email we received says, "Good evening, Village Board. My mission is to ensure that the Village of Germantown is the most sought-after village to live in because of open green space, undisturbed wetlands, and exceptional parks. In order to do that, Germantown has to make a commitment to create the most beautiful parks with attractive and functional recreational buildings, pavilions such as Fireman's Park. The buildings, pavilions that we construct in these parks are for today and future generations to use for multiple purposes, such as reunions, showers, birthday and anniversary parties, and of course, weddings. All of the buildings, pavilions in our Germantown parks should be income generating. To ensure that the Germantown parks, buildings, pavilions are income generating, they should be functional, well-appointed, and visually pleasing. This will ensure that Germantown will obtain repeated sales for these buildings, pavilions, which equals income. I would like to bring up several points about tonight's agenda item, Fireman's Park contractor, and make a comment about rescheduling the 2050 Land Use Plan meeting. First point is Fireman Park Shelter. The Village Board and Park and Rec have been working on the Fireman's Shelter for at least 2 years. Now it comes down to the contractor. In the Park and Rec meeting last Monday, there was difference between two contractors. One design had no trusses, and the other contractor did include the trusses. There are trusses in the new Dinesville Fest Hall. It allows people to come in and hang lights and decorations for weddings, etc. It also lends itself to the Germanic design. The Park and Rec vote for and against trusses was tied. Then the president of the Park and Rec had to add a vote, and he voted for no trusses. I believe the Village Board wants to have the trusses, and perhaps you can persuade the Park and Rec to vote in the trusses. Otherwise, in my opinion, the new Fireman's Park is going to look like a gymnasium, high, boring ceilings. Number 2, not on the agenda, 2050 Land Use Plan. The Village Board is always looking for citizen input for the 2050 Land Use Plan. The school district is having their annual meeting on September 28th, too. There is no way that a citizen can attend both meetings. I want to urge the Village Board to move the 2050 Land Use meeting to a Thursday. There are so many of the committee meetings on Mondays, it is impossible to make them all. If the Germantown citizens are interested in giving their 2050 plan input, plus find out what the school district is going to do this year, they cannot be in two places at one time. Since the planning our village is such an important plan going forward, I have 2 suggestions. Suggestion A, utilize the green dog sign placed in strategic locations around the village so that the citizens can go to the website to find out where, when the next 2050 land use plan meeting will be. And I respectfully request that the Village Board reschedule the 2050 land use plan meeting to October on Thursday night. Here is my suggestion, 10/29/2020. Third point, builder's agreement. I want to ask, what is the status of the updated builder's agreement between the Village of Germantown and Viridian Homes? This builder's agreement was supposed to be updated. Where is it located? Number 4, safety. I want to mention that I have observed children and adults still running on the tops of the mounds and in the dirt and sitting on equipment at Kinderberg Park. Please make sure that there is added Germantown Police Patrol past Kinderberg Park and the construction area. Germantown leaders should be keenly aware of our outdoor spaces during this COVID-19 pandemic. COVID is not going away soon, so the more we prepare our outdoor spaces with options to give our citizens opportunities to be outside where it is relatively safe, the better. Please keep in mind that these buildings, pavilions will be here for generations. Make them beautiful and income generating. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Kind regards, Jan Miller, Friends of Kinderberg Park Committee member. Those are the 2 emails that we received for public input in regards to tonight's meeting. Is there anyone else, either in the audience or via WebEx, that would like to come forward for citizen input or public appearance? And if you would like to do so, all we would ask is you, first of all, if you're on WebEx, make yourself recognized, and secondly, state your name and your address for the record. Is there anyone wishing to come forward for citizen input or public appearance at this time?
I did ask Michelle Tucker, and she says there's no one there.
Okay.
I did ask.
All right, and no one within the audience, so then we can go to the next item on the agenda, which is consent agenda. Board?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through E.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve consent agenda items A through E. Is there any discussion on that motion to approve? No discussion? We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Baum?
Aye.
Trustee Myers?
Aye.
Trustee Hudson?
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky? Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Pieper?
Aye.
Trustee Wing?
Aye.
Trustee Zabel? President Walter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is new business, because there is no unfinished business or public hearings. We'll start with new business item A, which is the 2021 budget process discussion, set committee of the whole dates.
How do I start?
Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Because knowing my schedule, Public Works, which I guess is the second group of things there, if we could meet either October 7th, which I believe is a, Tuesday? No, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Or the 8th, which would be a Thursday, that would be helpful to me. I have a meeting on that Tuesday, and the previous week I'm busy as well.
In the past, haven't we done Wednesdays?
Got to mix it up,
Did you?
because nobody can.
Would it be like a series of weeks in a row?
2 or 3? Quick as we can.
October 19th.
Yeah, as quick as we get.
October
I like that
19th.
point. Kim, when do you need it for publishing?
It's
Yeah. October 19th.
October 19th is the date that we need it in order to publish the public notice.
Well,
How many meetings do we
3.
have? 3? So I'll make a motion that we do September 30th, October 7th, and October 14th at 6:30.
7th and
Six. Why 6:30?
7th and 14th, September 30th.
There's only 3 Wednesdays between now and when we have to do it. 4 if you want to do this Wednesday, but
30th, 7th, and 14th.
yes. You want 6 instead of 6:30?
Or, yeah, for Public Works, the 7th would be good. I was thinking 6 o'clock would be good.
6 o'clock, okay. So I'll make a motion to schedule a meeting on September 30th, October 7th, and October 14th at 6 o'clock in the Village Hall.
Second, Dennis.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. Anybody have trouble with that issue, with that schedule as proposed?
Yeah, I can make my meeting though. 14th I can't. 30th.
Can you do, instead of the 14th, can you do the 15th?
Sure, I can always do Thursdays.
Can everybody else do the 15th?
Wait a minute.
How about Friday?
Only the end.
Only if it's held somewhere else.
Okay, so I'll make an amendment.
Change it.
Okay, then I'll just change it. It should be the 30th, the 7th, and the 15th
It's okay with me.
at 6 o'clock.
Okay, any further discussion on those proposed dates? Trustee Zabel?
I'm assuming that's village board on the 30th, engineering on the 7th, and police on the 15th.
However you want to break it up.
Whatever's good.
Well, that's the way they have it. I know Public Works wanted to meet on the 7th, so after the committee, so that's my assumption. You could do the police first, or you can do the village board. You could switch those around, but whatever way you want to do it.
Okay. That'll work. Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Next item under new business is Fireman's Park Shelter Project, award of construction contract. Is there anyone that's going to bring some information or any background? Mark?
Good evening, everyone. In your packets is a recommendation coming forth from the Park and Recreation Commission. We met last Wednesday night. We had very good, turnout as far as number of bidders. We had 7 firms submit bids for the Fireman's Park Shelter Project. And let me just take a step back here. So you may remember at the July meeting, we talked a little bit about the alternate deduct items. There were 4 of them. We talked about some items that the Park and Rec Commission and the Building Construction Oversight Committee didn't want to consider for an alternate, and such as the standing seam metal roof, epoxy floors, so forth. So out of that meeting, we left with a project budget of $850,000 to $900,000 was our target at that time. Sent it to bid. We had 7 companies again submit bids. I put in the write-up there a little budget that is available for the project. You can see that we have approximately $900,000. The base bids ranged from $985,000 to $1.4 million, so we focused on, we meaning staff and our consultant who was with us tonight, Patrick Egan. We took a look at the 3 lowest ones. They were all kind of lumped close, which is a good sign. And we took a look at the 4 alternates that we had to consider. And with that in mind, the motion that we're bringing forth is to recommend contracting with Level Up Construction in the amount of $732,591.44, with a pretty standard 7% contingency at this portion of a project. And then also, remember, we talked about direct purchasing the precast concrete panels, so we had a second part of the motion for direct purchasing the precast panels for $205,737. We talked about the fact that this is a little over the budget that we kind of agreed to or targeted on July 20th, but we do have resources in the park impact fee account that we could make up that additional roughly $100,000. Interestingly enough, you may notice that we aren't coming forth with a unanimous recommendation, which is unusual for the commission. Has nothing to do with the fact that they didn't want to proceed with the project. They're very excited to do that. There was a lot of discussion relative to one of the alternate deduct items, and that was whether we went with the trusses. You remember we talked about trusses inside the shelter or more of a vaulted ceiling, and the vote was 4-3 for the vaulted ceiling look. And I can certainly pass around a picture if you'd like to see that again. It so happens that that is the lower cost of the option 2. So when you considered all 4 of those alternates, that's what the motion is here tonight. So great discussion at the Park and Rec Commission level. From a staff perspective, we are excited to move forward. We're going to have a nice project whether we have one or the other. So again, taking into account maintenance-friendly, durable products. So be happy to answer any questions you might have. Again, if we get real technical, Patrick can give us a hand with that, so.
Board, any questions?
I do.
Trustee-
Can I ask if we've ever used Level Up Construction before?
We have not.
Can I ask if we know the longevity or how long Level Up Construction has been in business?
We actually do have Tim Shekel here with Level Up Construction here today.
A couple more questions, sorry.
Okay.
What were so you said it was between the top 3 bids,
Yep.
and who were the other 2?
The other 2 were Ray Stadler Construction and J.H. Hassinger.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome. So I will say this, our consultant did follow up with the recommended contractor and got nothing but positive feedback. They've been involved with projects for the Village of Pewaukee here with some park buildings, also I believe it's a DPW storage facility. So we have every reason to think they can fulfill the contract for us.
Trustee Wing?
Well, Mark, you know, I'm not a big fan of this project. I do want to see something in the park, but this building isn't going to win any beauty contests. Dave, you know, you're an architect, and we always have, you know, I always hear from the architect, you know, form follows function. And this is a functional building. But doesn't it seem like we are foregoing beauty for a purely utilitarian building. This is a park. I just think we can do better, and I think we should. I don't think there's this desire in the last meeting now to spend the money quickly. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't think we should spend the money quickly. Now, others are going to say, spend the money quickly, what are you talking about? We've been just doing this for 2 years. But can't we wait till spring and get something better? Is it too late? I don't think it's too late. I want the other board members to realize, I don't think it's too late. Look at some of the projects, you're from Kinderberg Park. Was that too late? That was after the vote. We're not too late. We can put something downtown that's nice. I'm not saying this isn't okay, but we can do better, and everyone knows that for years I've been fighting for the beautification of downtown, and it's frustrating for me because I never seem to win on the board. Can you pass that around? For the downtown. I have a long losing streak, but time and time again, we're setting aside beauty for industry downtown, and we set aside our historic neighborhoods. We set aside charm and a historic church, and we continue the industrialization of our downtown to the point where people are sitting outside now looking in an industrial park. And I don't know about you, but I don't look for the nearest industrial park to go out to eat or to sit outside and eat. I never thought it would make it into our parks, and I think it is now. This building needs something, and I liked the idea of the garage doors initially, but when you look at the restaurants that use garage doors, and I was just in Mequon today, and you know where Hollanders is, and they got all those restaurants in a row, and they got garage doors. There's a big difference. They're huge buildings. They're not this small, low-level building, and they only got a couple garage doors. And they got all these other elements. It's not only brick, but it's stonework, it's cedar siding, it's different levels of roofing, and the garage doors lose it. First of all, the first page you'll see is this diapering I brought up in the last meeting. This is a true term, it's diapering. It's a German form of bricklaying, and it's beautiful. The top picture you might recognize, that's Walgreens. The lower picture is a school I'm working at right now in Shorewood, and the side pictures are Germany. And the bottom picture, well, you know what that is. It's a simple game of which of these things does not belong here. Diapering is supposed to be done with one brick. So from a distance, it looks like a line, and the lines intersect, and they make a beautiful design. This is not German. There's not one element of this building that's German. It's almost cartoonish German. The next page is a picture of our building. The picture under it is a car wash. Take a good look at those two pictures. We're putting a car wash in Fireman's Park. It's almost the exact same building. They actually have more detail with dormers on the roof and round windows in the side, and they don't have the notorious Germantown diamond. The final picture below is a Verona park structure, much smaller than what we want, but I'd rather have smaller and have something nice. I think we can build it bigger than that, but I'm wondering if we should get away from the garage doors, because it's hard to sell. I think it's a good idea, and I'm not against anybody that worked on this project. I appreciate the work Mark's staff and the volunteers on the board have done, but it's not something that I think is a good fit for the park. We should have some kind of, I think they call it a cupola on top, like we do in the Fest Hall. The Fest Hall's beautiful. It has all these different features. We have no German features, but say one that we call German that I don't think it is. And lastly, I know it has nothing to do with tonight's discussion, but that's the memorial in the park. Take that for what it's worth. It's terrible. If you do approve this, and what are we at? We're at $1 million, right? Close to $1 million for this building. I just would like to hold back and do something nicer, even if it's a little bit smaller. And I really, if we have brickwork in the park, let's take these brick pillars and put red brick on those to match the area, and put that bell back and restore this memorial looks terrible. But I'm not going to vote for this tonight because I've been against this from the beginning, and I know most of you, I didn't have your support, but I'm hoping tonight the pictures will help. Pictures always help me when I come forward the second time. And I really would like you to consider that we can do something better. There's no urgent need to build this shelter this fall when we can do it in spring. I love the park. It's the park as a child I would go to almost every day. Please, we can do something better than this.
We don't have a motion, do we?
No.
Okay. Board?
I kind of second Dan's views on this. The first time I saw this, I thought it was, no offense, because I know I think we have somewhat of a similar sort of idea of what we kind of imagined it would look like, and this is nothing near it. And I just cannot see us approving something that all of us are going to look at with disgust and not know that we did our best, because this is not our best. That building is not even remotely pretty. I make a motion to postpone this project to spring at least, and go back to the drawing board.
Second.
Your motion is to postpone or to table? Postpone?
Could you explain to her the difference?
No.
Sorry, new here again?
The difference, if your motion is to postpone, it allows discussion. If your motion is to
Yeah.
table, there's no discussion.
You want to postpone, you want discussion, I think.
My motion is to
Postpone?
postpone. I would
Okay.
love a lot more discussion on it. I would love a lot more input on it. I would love the public's input on it.
Do we have a second on the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. Trustee Ball?
I agree with both of you. This project, the price is just going up and up and up and up. And by delaying it, we're going to go up and up and up some more.
Yeah, even more.
You're going to take it back to the drawing board? How much have we spent in architectural fees already?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Throw it out the door.
Can I ask who designed it to begin with?
Iconica.
What was that?
Company called Iconica.
Iconica.
Well,
So,
they're limited to a budget, though. I mean,
That's right.
it's not like they did anything wrong.
No?
No.
The more money you have, the nicer you can make it look. But I'm considering just getting rid of the walls and making it an open concept, like the picture I have of that Verona. I think it's beautiful, and I think we could get it almost the same size. And wouldn't there be money savings there, Mark?
You know, certainly there would, but if you step back on this project, and we're going back to 2018, at that point in time, the first thing we did was we came up with a conceptual plan. What is our program for the building going to be? How is that going to be utilized? With the Performing Arts Pavilion for different events and for businesses and families and so forth. At that point in time, we had a series of public input meetings where we had people in, they shared ideas on what they'd like to see. Interestingly enough, the first drawing that Parkitecture/Iconica had provided to us had kind of the German cross timber look to it, and the majority of people, I think a couple of people happened to be at that that are here tonight were at that meeting, and it was felt that we wanted to more mimic the Performing Arts Pavilion and use the precast panels and some of the features there, right or wrong, but that was the direction we had. So we continue on in all the different phases. So I think I can speak on behalf of the Park and Rec Commission and say that they like the look of the building. They think it'll blend really nice. They think we've got functionality, and so I think to go back to the drawing board, we'd be time and money, I don't know. It's...
Trustee Kaminsky?
Seems there's really a lot of chefs in this kitchen, except that the food's already headed to the table. We've invested a lot of money and a lot of time over the past over 2 years, 2.5 years, and we have a recreation committee. We have a building committee. These committees function to bring us to this point, which was a compromise on the part of all of these people on behalf of our constituents, to keep this to be a usable building, enclosed for a number of activities, that more or less matches the band shell, that fits into the park, and I guarantee you it's going to be utilized. And people aren't going to walk up to this and say they're disgusting. That's not going to happen.
It doesn't have heat, though,
It's going to
right?
be a highly functional
No
building,
heat.
and I do believe that I'm definitely going to vote for this, and I appreciate the time and effort that everybody has put into this over the past 2.5 years. Is it perfect? No. Is it ideal? No. Does it have a cupola? No. But you know what? This is what we can afford, and if we put this off again, we're not going to have anything. We don't know where COVID-19 is going budget-wise. We don't know what's going to happen next year. If we don't know by now, we can't predict anything that's going to happen next year. We should know. And we have this, and we should get it built. We need it, and it will complete that park. And I think we'd be foolish not to approve it.
Trustee Miller.
Yeah, to reflect part of Mark's comments, so there was 2 public meetings to really start the design of this. And what came out of that was that the public that was there wanted partially indoor and then a partially outdoor piece. The part of the outdoor piece came with garage doors, and the garage doors were added because of our climate. And the garage doors are meant to be up unless utilized. So they are going to be open unless it's utilized and be closed. But that gives us more of a 3-season area rather than a 1-season area underneath it. So that's where the concept came, but to say that we didn't have any public input, we did. We had a lot of public input on this. We had 2 meetings. We had meetings at the Park and Rec about this a number of times. I was on that committee at the time. So this is what came out of the plan, and it is to match the pavilion, the Performing Arts Pavilion. And that's how the outside of the design came. So I will be supporting this as well.
Further discussion on the motion to postpone. Trustee Bohm.
Mark, what's the story with the trusses? Are they in or they out?
The recommendation before you tonight is to accept that deduct, so they're not in. So we would have a vaulted wood clad, I guess is maybe the right term, ceiling.
But they could be put back in.
For a cost. And with them in, give me the 2 prices again. With them in, it's what price, and with them out, it's what price?
You'd have to add $64,450 to the project. And I will just say this,
Oh, somebody.
when we evaluated all this, if we start changing around the ad alternates, we're going to change around who the low bidder is, because each bidder gave us a slightly different value for the the 4 items.
Okay.
Further discussion on the motion to postpone. I'm going to go to the village attorney.
So just, I guess, a point of clarification. Certainly, you can postpone action on this item until spring. Certainly, I think that the suggestion is that this particular proposal would just get scrapped and we'd kind of come back with something new. I think that the thing we need to keep in mind is that we've gone through a bidding process. We are here to award a bid this evening, and so that bid isn't going to be held until spring. And so, we need to address the issue before us as well. I mean, if we want to put off everything until spring to relook at it and come up with a new design, that's good, but I think we still need to include an action this evening that would then say that we're going to just reject all of the bids on this proposal and then move forward from there.
Trustee Zabel.
Yeah, I don't mind postponing it, but if we're gonna postpone it, then I think we need to work with the contractor with the designs you have there to find out what is gonna be the additional cost to try to do that type of brickwork. the end walls if you want to do it. The other question I have is that this particular point doesn't seem to match the senior center that's there. They have a more of a wood crust effect that's there that you basically, like you would nail over the concrete finish. I pointed out to you, but I don't know if they ever got looked at or changed or.
Well, I think, Art, we did talk about that. There are some, I don't know the right name of the feature over the gables, but the brick color will match, well with the brick on the senior center, maybe those little details. But we had a project that was out to bid, so those were the specifications that we bid the project on. So,
What seems to be coming down to it, and I may be misunderstanding, but my understanding is that it may not have a German enough appearance that we're looking for to make it sort of fit in, and either adding the type of brickwork or the change to the brickwork, or modifying the structure to match more of what the senior center and the way those, if you look at the senior center, it has like the wood etching and the wood crossing on it. It's different, but it looks like it was something that would be either nailed on or painted onto the concrete work afterwards, which would have a different effect, and it would still have a truss type effect on the building. And it would give, to me, give it more of the German theme, but again, and I don't know if that would add cost or deduct cost, because you're not adding, I don't think you're adding any type of brickwork to it, you're just adding a lumber supply on the outside of it to add more of a framing look.
I think it's pretty difficult with just general comments to really know what we're looking at and what could be the costs. I think it'd be fair, everything I've heard is, the cost of construction is not going in the, not going down. In talking to Keller even at the ribbon cutting the other night, and they had commented that if they were in today's market, the Fest Hall would have been $150,000 more. A lot of that was driven by lumber costs, maybe Patrick has seen some other things that they've bid with his company too, but again, the design, the process, everything that we worked on, the commission feels we have a nice product.
Question.
Village Administrator.
I just wanted to just add a little bit about the process and some explanation to it. What we have, to expand on what the village attorney said, what we have in front of us tonight is the result of a public bid process that's defined by state statute. And so and to clarify, what we are not allowed to do, except for some minor modifications here or there, we can't go back to the contractor and say, what if we do this to the building, or what if we do that to the building, like you might if you were building your own house, because we put ourselves at risk then that the other bidders come back and say, well, if we had known that you were changing the design, our bid would have been different. So we're limited by what we're able to do at this point under the public bid law.
So I would need to not table it, I would need to end it.
Well, and I think to the village attorney's point, if you table it till spring, it has the same effect of ending it, because the bids are only valid for, I don't know what they were on this, but 60 or 90 days. So if you table it, in effect, you're doing it to be cleaner, just to reject them all and then go back and redo the design, redo the bid documents, and start the process over. I think from a process perspective, that's the way that it would have to work. I would also add, just as an aside, and maybe this is something that as an administrator I need to do better as we have these building projects coming up, is we need to make sure that we're getting the input earlier in the process. And we did have the public meetings. As Trustee Kaminsky mentioned, We've been taking things back to the building committee, the Park and Rec Commission looked at this, but we need to try to make sure that we capture those concerns in the future, I think, earlier, before the bid documents are prepared, so that then we're all in agreement on what the building looks like at that point, and then we can get the bid documents out and get in a position to award a bid and get to get construction underway. At this point, it is difficult process-wise to try to make changes.
Further discussion on the motion to postpone. Trustee Bong.
Question I have is, what's the intent of the postponing of it? If we're going to redesign it, no worry to postpone it, just cancel the project, because it's going to take too long to redesign it, and we're going to be into the spring. If your real intent is to redesign it, you need to change the budget. This design is based on the economics of this building. And quite personally, I'm bothered by taking out the trusses. I would want those put back in. It's a feature. I've already worked with the building committee a number of times and stripped out this building to a point where various people don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but this is what the budget will allow. So if you're not going to give more money to do this, there's no point in delaying it, because you can't put all the detailing in that you want. They'll make it look beautiful. It's just not in the budget.
Further discussion. Trustee Wing.
My intent as a second is to not redesign this. My intent is to do something like I portrayed in the picture on the last page, more of an open concept to save money, and even if it's a little bit smaller. You'd still have bathrooms, you'd still have the purpose and the function of the building for bathrooms and a shelter, but you could incorporate something that's beautiful, which, as I said earlier, is the primary function of a park. Everything else to me is secondary. Sure, I'm glad that you can rent it out and make money, but the function of the park is for me to go there and feel relaxed, to get away from life, to find things that are beautiful around me. If I wanted to make money, I'd take $1 million and buy $1 million house that's for sale in Germantown and rent it out to people. We'd probably make more money. I saw one online the other day. There's like 20 acres. They got a swimming pool. They got everything. Why don't we just take the $1 million and buy that house and rent it out? If I'm going to put $1 million into this brick building that looks exactly like that picture of a car wash that I saw, it's ridiculous. The primary function of a park is beauty. I can't support it.
Trustee Myers.
I support what was presented, but I do like the trust, as David mentioned.
Further discussion on a motion to postpone. Trustee Pieper.
I just feel like as a village, it would be very irresponsible of us financially to spend money on something just to spend the money. And I sure as heck don't want to spend $1 million on something that it's been widely agreed upon is not beautiful and is not spectacular and is really just plain acceptable. That to me, I mean, I'm going to be driving by it how many times a week, and I don't want to look at that and think of it as an eyesore or hear the residents' discussion about it and being like, oh, did you see what they're building in Germantown? Oh, yeah, it's not looking very good. You know, if we all as a board, who are supposed to be pushing this forward, don't really like it, we don't really like it, but none of us love it, not one of us loves it. And we're just going to spend $1 million on something that none of us love. That to me is really financially irresponsible, and I know it would take a whole lot more money to go back to the drawing board, and I know you put so much effort into this. I do, and the contractor, I feel awful that I'm even proposing this motion, because I really do, and I'm so sorry. But I just cannot spend $1 million in my mind on something that I do not find acceptable. Not only not acceptable, but no one loves it.
Trustee Kaminsky.
I love it. I don't love it. I like it. I wish that we could have had this picture put up, because we're making this sound like it's this horrible hovel that we're proposing for the park, and it's not. It's this really good-looking brick building that matches the band shelter. But we don't have a picture to show anybody that's watching, and it's kind of sad, because I think it's a decent-looking building. And the situation you have when you're a village, particularly a conservative village, where we stay within budget, and we have a good credit rating all the time because of that, is that we have budgets we must stay within. We have stayed within our budget for this and have produced a good-looking, functional building that will be well-received in this park. And I go to a park, when I go to a park, usually to walk my dog, but if I go to a park for any other reason, it would be for recreation. And this is going to be the centerpiece of recreation, I think, at that park. And I stand by everything I said before. I'm absolutely going to support this. I appreciate all the work that went into it. And if we put this off, we're going to be spending an additional $400,000 or $500,000 if we ever bring it up again, which we won't, because like I said, we don't know where we're going budget-wise next year. We can afford to do this now. We do need it to complete that park, and I think we should stop talking about it and just do it.
Chair.
Further discussion? Trustee Wing.
All right. I understand your passion, Terry, but let's look at our German corridors. You think you love this building and then you like this building. Right now, I'm dealing with a strip mall owner who's saying, boy, do I have to jump through hoops to make the bank look German enough for you guys. Well, he wants to remodel, he wants to resurface the mall, and he wants to know what to do. Do I show him this? Do I say, yeah, see those 8 blocks, you put them in a diagonal, and the board just loves it? Well, that's not German. In fact, I've tried to search the internet all over the world, I can't find this. But that's what we're calling German. So the next time somebody comes in here and we're putting them through the ringer and Plan Commission and everywhere else saying, your building has to be more Germanic, we're going to give them this, and if they slap it on, we're all going to like it and approve it? No, we're going to say you have to do more, and I'm not done, Dean.
I know.
Talk to McDonald's. Look at McDonald's. Look at all the German
McDonald's
features
looks better than the
they
building.
put in there. And she just said McDonald's looks better. A lot of people said McDonald's looks great for a fast food restaurant.
All they did was
Now,
mimic the...
this isn't even a fast food restaurant. This is in the park. If McDonald's did this, they never would have passed, and Dave, you know I'm right. They have budgets too. So we say, well, we have a budget. This is all we can do. The businesses say that too. The owner that I'm speaking to right now is like, I can't do everything you're asking. We don't accept this. It's hypocritical for us to put this in the park.
You tend to be blending what is considered a German corridor along Mequon Road with our park. Never have I heard the park to be part of the Germanic themed corridor. Mostly Mequon Road has been always considered the Germanic themed corridor. So to pull this into that theme and use it as part of a consideration of what we consider Germanic, to me, is a stretch.
Is that
We're
why
talking
in the
about
newspaper
the-
article we have stated in the Daily News, we desire this article about this building, we talked about it as a modern take of a Germanic-style architecture. I've heard over and over again.
That's not
Yeah,
my
a modern
discussion.
take.
What we've
The
gone through for this building is we've had our meetings, we tried to come up with a use for what we wanted this building to be. And what was stressed was a building that can be used into 3 seasons. If you're going to be using a building into 3 seasons, you need to shut the doors in spring, you need to shut the doors in late fall. That's what this building allows us to do, and allows other people to use it into extended or pre-extended periods of time during our season. There's been a lot of work, there's been a lot of budget discussions, there's been a lot of money spent. To start over, to me, is not fiscally responsible. It's starting over and throwing away whatever money you've already put into it. That's not responsible, that's irresponsible in my mind, to start over again. So you know what, we're bringing it up to this point, and now we're out for a bid, and I don't like it. So let's do it again. Are you kidding? Who the heck would want to work with us if we can't even make up our minds to the end after we've gone through 2 years of planning? We've had meetings upon meetings with Park and Rec, with the building committee, and with people that were going to use it as part of public input, and now we decide we don't like it because we want to pull it into what we consider our Germanic themed corridor? It's wrong. We're at a point of bid. This thing has got to the point of where now you build it, or you start over. And you know what? forget it. It won't get built because there'll be plenty of other budget considerations that will come up and it'll get replaced. And here we sit with this infrastructure in place, the sewer and the water cost in place, the design that we've already spent for, and we won't use it. That's responsible? To me, that's irresponsible. That's just taking it and let's wipe off the table and start over because I don't like it. But it's functional. It'll work. And we have other building considerations in the future as you go further down. If you go more towards the fire station, that pavilion is not going to stay there forever. In fact, I see it replaced in the next 5 years if it doesn't fall down on its own. My God, I think we propped that thing up as it is, and it doesn't have the electricity needs that this will bring to that park. Part of the reason that we looked at a facility like that was to get people to that side of the park in the middle and to provide a lot of the services that are needed for the types of festivals that we have there, because we didn't have it before. This building allows that, and not only that, it allows other people to rent it and use it in the spring and in the fall. I am not for starting over. That to me is not responsible. That is just taking the money and throwing it away. I'm sorry, I'll support this, but I will not support the motion on the floor. Further discussion?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Hudson?
No,
Nothing?
I'm
Okay.
good, thank you.
And I'm sorry for my rant and my emotion. Further discussion? No further discussion?
One more question, one last question.
Sure.
Did the fest hall go through, and anybody say how much they did not like the design or architecture or anything regarding the fest hall?
The festival, to me, becomes a different program because it's done and started with donations that the village chose to match. Much like the music venue over at Gales, we did have some input into it, but most of those monies were raised through private financing, call it, or donations. And same with the festival. There was some larger groups that came forward. There were larger individuals that were listed on the agenda that they had that night, and that's how that started. Because we wanted it to be built, the village decided to help support that with some monies that we had available from our tax revenues on hotel, motel, car rentals. So to me, it's a little bit different. It's not a 100% budgeted item, where this becomes more of a 100% budgeted item.
But was there any, not, I don't know what the right word I'm looking for, but dislike of the fest hall architecture that was put forth?
I would say generally, people do like it, and it has been positive, but yes, I have gotten complaints about it, in particular related to the wall. There were some individuals who felt that wall was out of place and should not have been there.
Most of the
you.
people that have to look at it.
Well, that one resident has since said she likes it.
Yeah, but that was, generally, like I said, they've been very positive feedback.
Further discussion on the motion to postpone. Trustee Bone?
To give you more information, that building did go through the building committee, and it had to be stripped down as well. So that building was supposed to have side curtains to it, and it was supposed to have garage doors as well. It couldn't be afforded, so this is what we could afford. So we gave the community the best that this group could afford.
And I love it, by the way.
And
It looked fabulous.
But it was supposed to have a lot more to it. And maybe in time, it'll get added to, but this is what they could do.
Further discussion? No further discussion. We are voting on the motion to postpone till spring. No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Aye.
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Motion fails.
What's the vote?
What's the vote?
Yeah.
You want to know who is against?
Yeah, what was the numbers? Because
Okay, who is against? Raise your hands. Who is
against
against?
the motion?
Against the, who said nay to the motion?
To postpone.
Right. 5.
Hudson.
5-4?
Trustee Myers, did you vote against or in favor?
To postpone.
Voted against. I had my hand up.
Okay, so 6-3. It was Trustee Zabel, Trustee Wing, and Trustee Pieper in favor. Is that correct? Okay. Board?
I'll make a motion to approve the, what?
We're actually making a motion to accept an award a construction contract.
I'll make a motion to accept the construction contract for Fireman's Park Park Shelter in the amount of $732,591.44 plus the 7% contingent for the contractor known as, who's our contractor?
Level
Up.
construction.
Level Up Construction.
Motion made, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, trustee Baum.
I'd like to make a motion to amend that to increase the cost to allow for the trusses to be installed. And that number was to be,
$64,000.
64,000 something.
64,450 is what.
$64,450 added to the current number. And we do have a second already?
Me.
Motion made to amend and seconded. Discussion on the motion to amend, trustee Zabel.
That's the low bidder, that's right, Mark, that
I'm sorry.
put the trusses in, the low bidder is not the low bidder. We would have a different low bidder if we added the trusses.
That does, I don't have the numbers in front of me because that wasn't the motion that the Park and Rec Commission wanted to bring forth, so, but that, my understanding is that would swing the numbers.
So, and if we have to accept the contract to the low bid person, I'm not sure if this not being a utility project, do we have to accept the low bid?
Yes, we should accept the lowest qualified bid. Now, that would be, the question is whether the top bid otherwise would be considered qualified or not. I don't know who it would be. I'm just trying to do some quick math in my head, and, you know, as we've talked about before, I went to law school because I don't do math, so.
We sure have good math with our bills.
If that's the case, then if we decide to do the trusses, do we have to change the contract?
I can't wait till every neighbor sees a flyer of this place with $1.1 million spent, and every trustee who voted for it. I'm going to love it.
Are we looking at that, the answer to that question?
All we really need to do is just take our, because we did all of the alternates, right? All the alternates, yeah. Okay, so all we really need to do is then go to the total, but then add back in that number, right? Take a look at
What the others are doing, because the bid for the trusses was different.
So they gave us a credit of 64.5 and 45. I think with the alternate, that number plus the storage, that number plus 45, 24. You get this one, I'll get this one.
What does it do?
Changes a little bit.
Further discussion on the motion to amend. Is So everybody's clear. If you add the trusses, it changes a little bidder.
So what kind of numbers are we talking?
What did that number go to then?
992, 725.
Does that still include the village buying?
The only thing that changes at that point are the trusses.
Okay, so at 992, what is the part that the village has to buy? Over and above, it's like 205,000, right?
It was up to the 205,737 was the
205.
direct purchase.
737 for the direct purchase. Now we're up to $1.2 million plus contingencies, so we're going to be close.
No, the 992 includes.
That includes that. We're purchasing it, okay.
Right.
So with contingency, we're over $1 million,
Question,
Well, yeah, with the contingency, yes.
question.
which we know we're going to use.
Trustee Kaminsky.
I guess a question for Dave or whomever. So now I know the rec committee didn't want the trusses. I know it was a pretty close vote. Do we want to do that and change everything up? I want some
That's right.
opinions here. I'm comfortable with it the way it is.
That's why I made it a separate motion,
Yeah.
so you guys can override it to keep the price as is.
I'm going to override to keep the price where it is.
Then you vote against it.
Nice to have trusses. I'm telling you, this building's going to be functional the way it is, and people are going to use it. It's
Yeah,
time
the
just to
the
move this
vote, the
thing
vote was
forward.
4-3 for the vaulted ceiling,
Yeah.
and we had some that felt they liked the one look and others didn't.
Further discussion, Trustee Miller.
If the trusses would get approved, where's the money coming from?
Well, we were proposing park impact fees for the additional monies. In the initial budget, there was the plan to, and it shows transferring $200 from the park impact fees. There's roughly another $200,000 in that account. So that would be my professional opinion on it.
Okay.
So how does that work, that if we make a motion to accept the trusses and that passes, yet the main motion that is being amended is to award the contract to Level Up? How does that happen?
We'll have to do another motion, another amendment to change the contractor.
Okay. Further discussion on a motion to amend. Trustee Zabel.
Did the firm who did the evaluation for the first low bidder, did they do an evaluation on the second bidder? Do they have a recommendation on the second bidder or non-second bidder, or did they even bother to check?
I do know that Blake from Parkitecture has some experience, and Patrick, I believe they're the contractor for the Menominee Falls project. Am I, correct me if I'm wrong?
Not the village park one.
Not, they aren't, okay.
So either contractor would be acceptable to you?
I don't know if the contractor that was
That's my understanding, that he certainly had spent a bit more time talking to Level Up Construction based on, what was coming from the Park and Rec Commission and so forth, but, they would have to be pre-qualified to do the work. I know J.H. Hassinger is, I don't have a lot of details for you tonight, but they're a company that's been around for some time.
Further discussion on a motion to amend. Trustee Myers.
I think I want to withdraw my second.
Can you do that?
Why?
Because I don't have the support, and what we're talking about doesn't sound good. I don't want to go that route.
No, then you can vote against it. Once the second has been made, the motion belongs to the body, so you can't withdraw a second.
Any further discussion on the motion to add the trusses? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, raise your hands. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, raise your hands. Motion fails. Back to the motion. Further discussion? No further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Baum?
Nay.
Trustee Hudson?
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Myers?
Aye.
Trustee Pieper?
No.
Trustee Wing?
Nay.
Trustee Zabel? President Walter?
Aye. Motion passes.
5-4.
If I may, not to, the motion does include the direct purchase, that second piece of it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Another failed downtown attempt.
Next item in new business is item C, agreement with Ruker Melke for engineering services related to sanitary sewage pump station capacity and upgrade analysis.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and second. Do we have,
I heard two motions.
I hear two motions.
I made-
Ladies first.
I'll second it.
Whatever.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion or information from Mr. Ratajczyk?
Yeah, I'd like some information.
What information would you like, Ernie?
I just want to know where this is headed.
Down the sewer.
What's your question?
I noticed that you're basically looking for an engineering consultant to analyze existing capacity. So where are we going with this?
So, most of these lift stations are tied together. For instance, the Holy Hill development comes downhill into the Main Street lift station, which goes into the old farm lift station. And then lift station 3 also comes into through that line. And then if you go on the other side of the interstate, you have lift station 7 coming down. You have lift station 3 that pumps now into lift station 6. And lift station 6 pumps all of it into the old farm lift station. Everything goes into the old farm lift station, and then gets pumped out to the interceptor, the 48-inch interceptor on Donges Bay Road. So all these lift stations on Main Street and the old farm all have a capacity of some sort to be increased. We don't know what that is. So, been wanting to do this for a year or two with everything progressing, our development going on, so that we have actually a handout and we're planning ahead to find out what our lift station capacities are. There is interest in development on the southwestern corner of the village. There's continual, every so often again, Highway Q and Lana Road, that area is always talked about. You have the Capri development in Grace Lutheran, which we were made aware of last week that Menominee Falls does have their project out for bid to remove Grace Lutheran in the Bancroft area. I don't know if it's Grace Lutheran, but the Bancroft area from Lift Station 3. So with all this going on, we just thought it's the right time to plan ahead, which we should be doing more of, and find out what our capacities are, and to increase the capacity, what's the cost? So we can budget for it.
Where's Station 7, is that the one by Walmart?
No, the one by Walmart is 3. 7 is a small one up off of Highway Q, Mequon Road rather, tucked away up there. It's kind of one you don't see too much.
The
3 is the one on,
6, isn't it?
3 is the one, pardon me?
Isn't the bottleneck 6 with a limit in front of?
6 is the bottleneck because 3 goes into 6 and 6 can't be enlarged.
Right.
So part of what we might find from this planning is 3 may have to be increased and it may be a force main all the way over to Old Farm. It's one of the options that we're looking at seeing what our options are. But 6 can't really be increased to handle much more flow, even though Bancroft is coming off from the falls. That's the southwest corner of the intersection of Mequon and Appleton, the shopping center up there, and that'll come off. But any future developments west would come into 3, and 3 can't go into 6. 6 can't be in, 6 is bottlenecked, it's landlocked. There's no room for expanding that lift station. So we just thought right now, just for planning purposes, the way the village is growing, that we should take a look at these lift stations and see how the system works and what the abilities are to increase or we have to replace. And we'll get a cost, idea of a cost from that also.
Okay. So from that, we'll get a cost of what it would take to do the full analysis.
They will tell us what these lift stations can be increased to, what equipment we would need to increase them, and then it's a matter of, we'll know ahead of time what it is, and we'd have to do plans and everything engineering-wise to actually do the plans to do the lift stations themselves, but this will give us an idea of planning purposes, what our capacities are.
Okay.
Right now, we're kind of running blind with that.
Trustee Myers?
Will they give us the cost of today's amount?
They'll give us estimates. If they think we need to double the pumps in, like, say, the old farm lift station, and we need to go different pumps or increase the wet well size and all that, we'll get an idea of what those sizes are, and then we can do an estimated cost in today's market.
We or they?
The village.
They'll give us an estimated cost with the pieces.
Thank you.
It still has to be designed and bid out and everything else.
Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, we're not spending any money, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Next item under new business, thank you, Larry, is item D, retain legal counsel for opioid litigation. The village board may convene in the closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.85, subsection 1, subparagraph E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the investment of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and 19.85, subsection 1, subparagraph G, for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel who is rendering advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the village with respect to litigation in which it is involved or is likely to become involved, and then may reconvene into open session to take such action as it deems appropriate. And then we also have new business item E, administrative performance review. The village board may convene into closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.85, subsection 1, subparagraph C, for considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction and exercises responsibility, and may convene into open session to take such action as it deems appropriate.
I'll make a motion, we go into closed session for items D and E, and only the members of the board and the village administrator need to be here.
So we're excusing the village clerk.
Yes, we are.
Second.
And the village attorney? After is...
No, I don't want you to hear it all. Yes, keep the attorney here, too.
All right. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion to go into closed session?
The attorney would need to stay for the minute.
Oh, I don't plan on staying, even if you want me to.
All right, we do roll call vote, please.
Trustee Baum? Trustee Kaminsky? Trustee Hudson? Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Myers? Trustee Pieper? Trustee Wing? Trustee Zabel? President Walter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Before we go into closed session, the next regular village board meeting will be on Monday, October 5th at 7 p.m. here at the Village Hall Boardroom, and also can be accessed via WebEx. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. We'll be going into closed session shortly after the video room wraps up. Please turn off your microphones.